Okay, Sean, welcome to our Parsha class. It's Parsha's Chukas Tafshin Pei Dalet. I wanted to start off though with a Mishnah quickly. This is not to do with the Parsha, but this is just a very deep Chiddush that's very, very helpful for us. So I thought I'd read it out quickly. Kachi Darke Shel Torah. Pasmanech Toichel. B'mayim b'masur tishta. Vala ores tishan. V'chayet sa techia. B'toyah ata omer. Nata oise kein ashrecha b'toyvlach, ashrecha b'oilam hazeh, b'toyvlach l'oilam haba. So it says, this is the way of the Torah. You will eat bread and salt. Yeah. You will drink water in measurement. You'll sleep on the floor. You will live a life of tsar. And in the Torah, you should toil. And if you do this, it will be good for you in this world and in the next world. So Kachi Darka Shel Torah, we could go into this for a long time. I just want to get it out there into the world because it's important. It's very, very practical. And it's really the derech of our avodah. It really is the whole derech. So Kachi Darka Shel Torah. Darka means derech. This is a progression. This is explaining the way it goes. Okay. The first level, the beginning of our avodah, is before this, you're not being oved. The first level of avodah is pas b'melech toichel. Yeah. Eat bread and salt. Why not just bread? Salt is an unnecessary element of pleasure. You don't need that. You can eat bread by itself. The salt just makes it more pleasant, yeah, more tasty. It's a world of difference, bread without salt and bread with salt. So why is it pas b'melech toichel? Because that's the very first level of Avodas Hashem, is you be mamayet your pleasure. Yeah, you cut down the pleasure to salt, pas b'melech toichel. We appreciate that you need some pleasure. That's great. You can have your pleasure, but just minimize. Okay. Now the next stage is mayim b'masur tishteh. Water that has no pleasure, drink it in measurement, meaning drink just what you need. After you've spent enough time getting your pleasure down, now the next level is get everything else down. We're beyond pleasure now. It's about reducing everything so that you don't take more than what you need for anything. And I'll tell you, I really do this as much as possible. I do it in a lot of places, but just one thing that I do is paper towels. Yeah, I'm very careful to only take one paper towel. Even if it's not quite enough, it's a very, very helpful thing to do. Just always take as little as you need. Never take more than what you need. It's very, very helpful for your nefesh. Very helpful. I've been doing it for probably a year or two, and I can't stress how it's not difficult to do, and it's really, really good for you. Really good. Like if you can avoid using a plastic cup, use a real cup and wash it up. You'll understand, but just use as little as this world as possible, and it gets it into your head that it's not your world. That's what you're thinking. When you take one paper towel, it's not your world. That's a very helpful reframe. So now, first things first is start your mamayit pleasure. Then the second level is your mamayit everything. Yeah. Then that means that will lead to the al ha'oretz tishan. You'll be able to sleep on the floor. Why? Because your comfort it's just not that important to you anymore. So it won't bother you, the fact that you're uncomfortable. You'll be able to sleep on the floor. And then you'll get to the level of b'chayit tsar tichya. You'll even be able to live a life of tsar. That's the next level, meaning that most people who are going through tsar, they're not alive. It's terrible. It's the worst thing in the world. But if you follow this progression, even if chas v'shalom, a person has to deal with tsaras, he'll still be alive. V'chayit tsar tichya, a life of tsar you'll be able to live. That's such a positive spin on this. And if that's the case, the Torah ata omel, then you're going to be zeicher to be omel in the Torah. Because amelus in Torah is all about, it's the amelus in Torah is when it's not geschmack. I'm not talking about learning Gemara. That's also, but I'm talking about going over the inyanim again and again and getting them clear and clear. That's not geschmack. Yeah, what's geschmack is you hear the one share, and then now you got all the smorgasbord of all the other share, and let's listen to the next share, like the news. one after the next. It's just it's the geschmack of new. That's really the time of Chochmah. But then you'll be able to live a life of tsar. Not that you should have to do that, but it won't be such a big deal. You'll be able to live. It won't stare you so much. And then you can learn Torah properly, and this is the beautiful thing, is Ashrecha v'Tovlach, Ashrecha v'Olam Hazeh v'Tovlach v'Olam Haba. It's going to be wonderful. Once you do that, it's going to be wonderful. It's the opposite of the world, the opposite of what the world tells you. The world tells you is you need to try and squeeze out as much pleasure as possible. Yeah, we're saying the exact opposite. Be mamayit your pleasure, and even be mamayit not your pleasure. And in the end, not that you're doing it for this reason, but in the end, your life will just become exponentially more pleasurable. That's the irony. Not that you're doing it for that reason at all, but that's just the payrus. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Shalom Rablazer. Nice to see your name. Okay, so the Paraduma. So I'm happy you came to this, Blazer. You might enjoy this. So I'm going to ask a bunch of questions, and then hopefully we'll be able to answer them all up. That's what Hashem. So the Paraduma has got this whole thing going on with red and white. Yeah, sounds like England. With red and white is that the cow, it's interesting, I looked this up, the cow is the only animal that is used almost equally for meat and for milk. All other animals are either used for milk or they're used for meat. The cow is used equally for meat and milk. Now, that represents, meat is obviously represented by red, milk is obviously represented by white. And this actually is also a remez to the two styles of Mesiras Nefesh. There's what's called the Mesiras Nefesh de Zocha and the Mesiras Nefesh de Nukva. The Mesiras Nefesh de Zocha is red. The male Mesiras Nefesh is red, and the female Mesiras Nefesh is white. Okay. Hi, Mr. Bloomberg, do you mind, please don't take offense if we ask you to turn off your camera, is that okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. That the Mesiras Nefesh of a man, of the male Mesiras Nefesh is red, symbolized by blood, and the female Mesiras Nefesh is white, which is symbolized by milk. Okay, why? Well, the male Mesiras Nefesh is really symbolized by bris milah, be'ikah. That's the ikah Mesiras Nefesh of the man, and that's the inyan of blood. It's also very loud and visible. It's connected the sun because the sun is also red, and it's very much visible. It's daytime. It's with a fanfare. It's with heroic. It's heroic. Male Mesiras Nefesh is heroic. Yeah. Female Mesiras Nefesh is milk. It's the exact opposite. The white is the moon, which is nighttime, and the female Mesiras Nefesh is symbolized by the feeding of the baby in the nighttime, getting up in the middle of the night and feeding the baby. It's not a single bang like it is with the man. It's an ongoing, consistent commitment that is they're both hard. They're both Mesiras Nefesh, but one is the woman excels in and one the man excels in. And the female Mesiras Nefesh is very, but it's very sanua. It's very sanua. No one sees it, and it goes on for a lot of time. And the opposite for the male Mesiras Nefesh. So the Paraduma symbolizes that the Aduma is the red, and the para is female. It's a female cow. It has to be a female cow. And like we said, the cow gives meat and milk. So what's this inyan of the two Mesiras Nefeshes being contained in the symbol of the Paraduma? Another beautiful remez is it's called the Para Aduma Tamima. Yeah, Aduma is Esav, and Tamima Ishtam, that's Yaakov. So the two avoiders, those are the two avoiders of Yisrael. I know that Esav messed up and his avoider went to Yaakov, but there's still the avoider of Esav and Yaakov. That's the avoider of the Olam Hazeh and the avoider of the Olam Hazeh, Olam Hazeh, Olam Haba and Olam Hazeh. There's the Yoshiv Ohalim, and then there's the Isada. Yeah, there's the work of the field, and then there's the work of in the tent. Okay, those are the two avoiders of Am Yisrael, which we have to take the slack for our degenerate older brother who flaked out on the job. So we have to do everything now. But the Paraduma contains both the avoiders. Yeah, Paraduma Tamima. Okay. Another question is Purim and Yom Kippur. I'll be super impressed if someone gets this. It's a lovely question. Purim. What's the kesher between the Purim of Yom Kippur and the Purim and Yom Kippur? One of the connections of the Lashon of Para. See, Purim, Lashon Para, yeah, cow, pei, reish, hey, is Lashon Pur, which means a goal. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Sorry. It means a goral. Like how does it not a lottery? There's a better word for a lot than a lottery, no? Like a tombola kind of thing. It's like a not a lottery, that's not the right word. I suppose it's like a lottery. Anyway, so a pur is like is a lottery, yeah? So you have Purim, which was named after the pur that Haman created, that was to bring down the Nephilah. See, okay, we'll explain it when we answer it, but this is the question. So then we've got the pur. The question is, why did they? This is a famous question. Why is the Hag of Purim named after what was to bring our destruction? It should be called like, Hag Esther or Hag Mordechai. Why Hag Purim? Purim was what Haman used to decide that it was going to be Yud Daled Adar to kill us. So why is it called Purim? And then also we've got Yom Kippur, but there was a Pur on Yom Kippur. What was the Pur? Was the Amishtalech, the Seal Azazel, the two goats, the identical goats. That there was a lotto, whatever you'd call it. There was a goal, and we chose one, and one went to Azazel, and one went to be shechted for a korban. Okay, so that's the question. What's that about? Then why did the goyim laugh at us for both Paraduma? Rashi tells us that the goyim laughed at us for Paraduma, but the Ramban over here in our parsha tells us also that by Azazel they also laughed at us. By the mitzvah of Sa'ai Mishtalech, they also laughed at us. What's the Indian of the goyim laughing at those two mitzvahs? Dafka Paraduma and the Sa'ai Mishtalech. And then another question on Rashi. Rashi says that you don't have reshus to think about it. 1 minute. What it says? Gezeirahi milifanai. It's a gezeira before me. Yeah, ein lecha reshus lahahe achareh. You don't have reshus to think about it, to be mahahe after it. And then there's another question: is what's the difference in the lashon with Moshe and Bilam? By Moshe, the lashon is vayikra. In the beginning of the Parshas Vayikra, it's Vav Yud Kuf Reish Aleph. By Bilam, the same lashon is used without the Aleph. It's Vayikra, Vav Yud Kuf Reish. So Hashem called to Moshe, and Rashi says, what was it, to show his chiba? How do you say it? What was the lashon? Show his chiba. No, lashon chiba. By Vayikra with the Aleph, it says it was lashon chiba. Yeah, lashon dearness. cherishedness, lovedness, whatever. By Bilam, Vayikar was Loshen Arai, random. Maybe you see where we're going with this. And then finally, why is it that the whole Indian of Paraduma is so to speak like a refuah for Misa? It fixes the ayat of Misa. Wow, Ariel just missed all the questions. Okay, but hopefully we'll answer them in the questions. So let's try and answer these questions. So, so the creation starts in the world of Bria, which is the world of Seichel. To call it Silus, so I'm going to mute you, just no offense. It's nice to see your face though. That creation starts at Bria. Okay, to call it Silus, which is the level above Bria and Oilam, is already like a borrowed term. The Balatanya says that it's Bakushi, a world. It is a world. We call it Oilam at Silus, but the Hester there is so minimal, it's so flimsy that it's hard. It's definitely not called a world in comparison to Bria, Yitzir, and Asir. The highest world of Bria is Keneged the Seichel. Then the world of Yitzir is Keneged the Midas, the world of Asir is Keneged behavior. But the world of Bria, the highest level of creation, which is the human being, is a Seichel dika mensch. That's what a mensch has Seichel, yeah, intellect. So that's the highest level of Bria. Above Bria, see, the Indian of Seichel is that it's Masader. Seder is a product of Seichel. Above that's what we call rational, something that's rational. Rationality, or not rationalizing, logic begins in Bria, because logic is Seicheldik. Logic is about rationale, yeah? Above that level, you can't, there is no, it's not Seicheldik, it's not rational, it's not logical, it's beyond that. Logic and ration is the level below Atzilus. That's the level of Bria. So in that place where there is no logic, where there is no rationale, which is the world of Atzilus, that's where the Nishmas Yisrael comes from. It's born in Chochmah Ilah, Chochmah of that level, and it's finally expressed in Malchus the Atzilus, which we call the Shechina Kadosha. That's the so to speak, Rochel Ameinu, where the fount of the Yiddish Neshamas come from. Okay, from there down, it becomes the world. That's the world of Misa. Misa begins in Bria. Yeah, there's no Misa in Atzilus. Misa begins in Bria. That's the world of Seichel. Okay, that's the world of the Umas Oilam. They're called the Umas Oilam. We're called the Am Kadosh. Kedusha is Atzilus. And the Umas Oilam, the Oilam really begins in Bria. Okay? So now, the Indian of Mesiras Nefesh, Yiddish Mesiras Nefesh, whether it's the white one or the red one, whether it's blood or milk, whether it's the male Mesiras Nefesh and the female Mesiras Nefesh. By the way, we are chayiv in both Mesiras Nefeshes, however you would say that. Mesirei Nafshes, I don't know. We're chayiv, but it's not that one's for a man, one's for a woman. One is primarily feminine, one is masculine, but just like this generation's teaching us, those terms are fluid. So we have a chiyuv of that hasmada dikad sneas Mesiras Nefesh, as well as the loud, heroic kind of Mesiras Nefesh. But Mesiras Nefesh of the Jew is not a product of Seichel. It's a product of Atzilus. It's a product of the Etzem Nefesh. It's not like you make a decision. Like we've said many times, William Wallace in Braveheart, he said, you may take our lives, but you will not take our freedom. Yeah. He had rationalized the fact that freedom was more choshev than his life, and therefore would give up his life for freedom. That's not Mesiras Nefesh. That's not Yiddish Mesiras Nefesh. Yiddish Mesiras Nefesh is the secular Jew giving his life up for his Yiddishkeit, for the Rebbeinu Shalom, and it doesn't make any sense to him. And he's marveling at himself as he's giving his life up. It doesn't make any sense. That's the key word. It doesn't make any sense. Why? Because it's coming from Atzilus, where there is no sense. There is no sense in Atzilus. It's Lamala min Seichel. That's Mesiras Nefesh. So that's the Kesher. So Para, the inyan of Para is the inyan of Pur, random. That's Atzilus. It appears to us to be random. Random is the opposite of Seichel. What's the definition of random? I spoke to my physics friend, who Hashem blessed with me in my world. I live in Sanhedrin, in this teeny little shtetl, and I don't know, Hashem blessed me with this like world-class physicist as one of my best friends. And I can call him whenever I want. I just ask, usually when I'm on the running machine. So I asked him yesterday, a couple of days ago, what's the definition of random? And he said, that's a big question. That's difficult. And he said that basically, if you had to push me, that's a very big question. And the only example of random we have in our world, the true example of random, is quantum physics, is on the quantum level. Otherwise, everything else is not random. It might appear to be random, but it's predicated on patterns. And if you had enough knowledge, you could know exactly, you could predict exactly. So the definition of random is you can't predict. So he said the way it goes, again, I don't know what this means particularly, but you'll get the idea, is that when they do on a quantum level, yeah, they do this electron test where they fire all these electrons in a controlled experiment. They do the same thing, yeah, over and over and over again. And all they can give you is a probability of where that electron will end up. It's like if you throw a ball at the same speed, with the same spin, it hits the wall at the same place, you would be able to predict exactly where it will end up. But not so with quantum. On a quantum level, you could say it's like throwing the same ball at the same speed, the same spin, everything's exactly the same, and it will keep landing in a different place. That's called random, yeah? Which means it's beyond Seichel. So do you know where that ball's going to land in the real world, in our world, not the quantum world? Do you know where that ball's going to land? You don't, because you just don't have all the information. If you had all the information, you would be able to predict where it lands. Whereas on a quantum level, if you had all the information, you wouldn't be able to predict where it lands. That's called random. And the quantum level, which is the deepest level we've discovered, is Keneged Atzilus, and that's my own thoughts. That it doesn't make any sense. What was it? Was it Heidegger? One of the big guys who discovered the quantum world. He said, if you think you understand the quantum world, you clearly don't understand it. That's what he said. It's not understandable. It's lamala min seichel. That's the whole point. Yeah, it makes sense that would be. It would make sense. It would make sense that it shouldn't make sense. Al pi Kabbalah, if it's Keneged Atzilus. Anyway, so that's random. And what's random symbolized by in our world? By a pool, by a lotto, a lottery, a tombola. That's random. That's the simon. That's the symbol of random in our world. Okay, so Mesiras Nefesh, the kesher of Mesiras Nefesh to Para is that it's coming from that world of what we call random. Remember, it's not random; it's godly. It just appears. We'll speak about that in a moment, and that's why Esav and Yaakov are contained within the Paraduma, the two opposite avodas of the field and of the tent. It's Para Aduma Tamima. They are both encapsulated in the para, in the inyan of random, in that level of Atzilus. They exist, they coexist in absolute harmony, the avodas of Esav and Yaakov. And that's why Purim was the Hatzalah. So the question was, I can't remember, one of the tzaddikim asked, why do we name Purim after what was the what caused the machla, not the refuah. It was the makkah. Why do we call it out that? So he said, no, it was the refuah. Because Purim, Haman knew that on the level of Seichel, he couldn't get Hashem to destroy the Yidden. Because on a level of Seichel, no matter how bad the Yidden fall, we're always doing better than the Umos Ha'olam. On a level of Seichel, it wouldn't make sense according to Haman's Cheshbon. We wouldn't be able to have been destroyed on a level of Seichel. So he had to go to the level of Torah, to the level of Atzilus. It's really not the level of Torah to say that correctly. I don't know if I use that word correctly, but to the level of apparent randomness, because he thought at least at the level of where it's random, there's a 50-50 that I can get rid of Am Yisrael. But little did he know that's where we're from. That's the world that we're from. So that's where the Hatzalah came from. So Purim is named after the Hatzalah, after what saved us, not after what destroyed us. It was Dafka, the inyan of the poor, the fact that that world of Atzilus, which is where we're from, which is what brought us the refuah, Baruch Hashem. And that's Yom Kippur. That's the inyan of Azazel. Is the kapara of Yom Kippur comes from the Sa'ar Mishtaleach. It's a random. It's just completely random. That's where we get cleansed from all our aveiros, from that goat that gets sent to Azazel. Yeah, that's the inyan of random. That's the inyan of us being saved by the place where we're from, which is Atzilus. And then why did the Goyim laugh at us? Yeah, and basically it says the same thing by Sa'ar Mishtaleach, but Rashi says here, Lefir Satan v'umois ha'olam moinem es Yisrael. They laugh at Yisrael. Loima ma hamitzvah hazois uma tam yishba. What's the mitzvah? What tam? What svara does it have? It doesn't make any sense. So they're laughing, thinking why? Because to the umois ha'olam, what's beyond Seichel? They're from Seichel. They end at Bria. What's beyond that is just random. So they're laughing, thinking this is crazy. This is random. But no, this is chukas Torah. This is the level of Atzilus. It just as an interesting side point. It says the Alter Hasidim of Chabad Drash. It says mimau, chelek elakai mimau. Yeah, and they drash that. They say mimau, from m, which is from al, above, from the above that's above, which is talking about Atzilus, mimau. And just I saw this myself, just as a cute little thing. Michael, you're like this. It says asher loy ala aleh oil. A cow that never went on it a yoke, an oil. That's Allah, aleh, oil. That's 3 al's. Al. That's mimma al, from the above. Allah, aleh, oil. And that's cute. Anyway, so that's meramis to the inyan of Atzilus. To the Umos Ha'olam, Atzilus is like it doesn't exist. It's just chaos, random, nothing. That's beyond Seichel. What's there beyond Seichel? That doesn't make any sense. So that's why they laughed at us by the Sa'ar Mishtaleach and by the Paraduma. And then why does Rashi now say, it works out beautifully, why does Rashi say you can't think after it? Gezeira hi melefonai. Ein lecha reshush lahaher achareha. You don't have reshush to think about it, to be mahaher achareha. Why? Because it's futile. It comes from a place where there is no thought. That's a product of Seichel. Why would you think about something that's not Seichel, Dick? It's beyond Seichel. And it's just as a side point, it says Gezerah hi melefanai, from my face. That's the Kavod Hashem. That's also meramis to the inyan of Atzilus. And now why does it say, and this is very beautiful, why does it say by Moshe it says Vayikra, and by Bilam Vayikar? Vayikra, they're both lashon of happening, but by the Umos Ha'olam, Nevuah, which always comes from the Olam Atzilus, by them it's Vayikar, lashon arai, meaning lashon random. It's just random, pashat random. But by the Yidden, that level of Vayikar, which is the level of random, has in it the Aleph. That's the bonus shloim. So to the almost the olam, prophecy looks like a random experience. By the Yidden, it's Vayikra. It's mamash calling out to us, because that's where it's like you're called from where you're from. It's like when your mum calls you from your house. You get called home. You know, that's the inyan of Nevuah to us. The Rebbeinu Shalom calling us from our house, which is at Tzilas. That's the home of Nishmas Yisrael. And therefore, why is it a cure for Misa? Because that place, there's no Misa. Misa begins in Bria. So that's the place where Chaim and Misa, and that's the inyan of Bayis Shlishi, where by Bayis Sheni, they say by Bayis Rishon, by Bayis Sheni, there was almost a complete hishtalshelus from Atzilus through Bria, through all the different madregas down into missed out the Asir of Malchus of Asir. But in the Bayis Shlishi, by Bayis Rishon, Malchus of Atzilus. I'm sorry if people understand this. I'm just saying quickly if anybody does. By Bayis Rishon, the Malchus of Atzilus became enclosed in the Chochmah of Bria, and then from Bria it came straight down without going through any more shtalshlus, and was Megala in the Kodesh Kedoshim. But by Shlishi, it's going to be at Atzilus Mamash. Atzilus Mamash, and that's the inyan of Techiyas and Mason, where the Mason and where Techiyah and Mason, where we're going to see that there is really no Misa. That's the Olam of Atzilus. That's when Atzilus will become apparent to us. That will be the final tikkun. That's the avoider of all of us. Okay, Bezrat Hashem. So we should know as Yidden that we are mushrash in a place that is beyond rationale, and we need to use our seichel. The Tanya says, brings from the Gemara, the handle from the axe comes from the forest itself. I think actually they got it from Matis Yarosom, but the handle from the axe, the handle for the axe comes from the forest itself. That's the inyan of seichel, is that we use our seichel to dismantle our seichel. Not that you just throw it away. You use your seichel to dismantle itself so that you can access an avoider of the level of Atzilus. What's an avoider of the level of Atzilus called? An avoider on the level of Atzilus is called? Maybe. That wasn't what I was looking for though. Lishma. That's Lishma. That's the level of the Bnei Aliyah, Bezrat Hashem, the level of Aaron HaKohen, as we know, the level of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, and the level that my Rebbe tells me in this generation, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe told everybody as well, is now available to all of us. That we've arrived at the final stages of creation, and we are now Zoicha to the Madrega of Lishma Mamash. If we just can firstly accept that, and secondly get involved in learning about what that is, and you'll see that we're ready for that avoider as Rat Hashem. We should all be Zoicha. Okay, have a good Shabbos, everyone.